Episode 247. Something has happened to Jackson. Jake's look became complicated as he had a smile like a bad boy. He kissed her lips and whispered,
"And of course, you punish me however you want to."
Serena blushed and hit him. "You wish?" He caught her hand, narrowed his eyes and teased her.
"You mean there will be no punishment?"
"If there is a next time, I will punish you by never allowing to get into my bed."
"Too cruel."
Jake frowned with a bitter look.
"Is that so serious?"
She smiled smugly, holding his neck and pecking on his lips. "So you should be careful in the future. Don't act shady and remember to tell me before you do something. Let me know what's going on so that I won't worry about you."
"Yes, ma'am."
Jake's voice was low and soft. With a smile, his look was very doting. Her heart was melting. Looking away with a blush, she pretended to be calm. "Now let's go to the hospital for the checkup." He held her hand and took her waist with the other hand.
"Yes, my dear wife."
After all the examinations were done, an old doctor pushed his glasses back on the bridge of his nose and told them that there were 2 placentas and 2 fetal hearts in her womb. In other words, they were going to have fraternal twins. Although he had an idea that there might be 2 babies, after hearing this news, Jake was still dumbstruck. Pleasantly surprised, his cold face eventually became filled with overjoy.
"Fraternal twins. 2 fetal hearts. 2 placentas?"
Jake repeated the phrases, his heart racing like crazy. An indescribable emotion emerged from the deepest part of his body.
2 children. Fraternal twins.
Repeating that again, his eyes, which were like the brilliant galaxy, became even brighter.
"I didn't get it wrong?"
Serena looked into his eyes, curled her lips and nodded to confirm. Getting the confirmation, he suddenly laughed out loud and took her into his arms. Tightening his grip around her, he said in a deliberately lowered voice,
"Impressive. My wife is so impressive."
She reached out and touched his palm, which was trembling out of excitement. She smiled and whispered with a blush when seeing the doctor's teasing looks. "People are watching. Act normal."
"All right,"
he responded with a loud voice. It was so difficult for him to hold back his joy, so he kissed her cheek. Trying to contain his smile, he failed and let it grow bigger and bigger. His low chuckles were infectious. It was the first time she had seen him like this. The uncontrollable emotions from him made him look like a lovable fool. Pursuing her lips, Serena looked at him with her face red. Jake's eyes were bright as he looked down at her belly. Feeling it, he whispered to her belly,
"Wait for me."
And then he walked out of the clinic. "What are you doing?"
"Making a phone call."
The phone rang a dozen times and no one answered. Just when it was about to go to the voicemail, someone answered. There were some noises there, accompanied by heavy breathing. Jackson's voice quickly came through. "Jake?" He sounded hazy and drunk. Jake frowned, swallowed back the good news and asked,
"What are you doing?"
"Jake," Jackson said as he panted. Vaguely, there was even a whimper. "Jake, Before he said anything, he started to cry. Jake was shocked. His soft look suddenly became tense and tough. He said calmly,
"Where are you?"
His first question was not to ask what happened, nor how he was, but where he was. Jackson choked and he couldn't say anything, but a man's sad voice was extremely shocking. Jake's facial lines were tightened, and he walked in without saying anything. The tall and straight Vanessa stood beside Serena and saw Jake come over and nodded to him. The doctor was explaining some precautions to her. Serena's face was filled with the radiance of maternal love as she listened patiently. Jackson's voice was getting smaller as he said, "I am in my Westlake villa." This was the villa where Jackson had kept Mary Parker at. Jake's eyes became even dimmer. Hearing Jackson's tone, he knew it had to do something with Mary. Jackson would never go there by himself, so for him to be there, it was clear that Mary had a stronger hold on him. Jake did not ask much and said, "I will arrive soon." Then he hung up. Serena looked over and found that his mood had worsened. She was a bit worried, and the doctor happened to be reaching the end of their consultation. She nodded to his suggestions and went up to hold Jake's hand, whispering, "What happened?"
"I think Jackson is in trouble. I have to go see him."
Jake's voice was very soft, but his mood was not light.
"I will send you back home first."
"No, you go. Vanessa and Devin are there." Vanessa always followed Serena and did not walk half a step away.
"No, I will send you back first."
Jake insisted and walked her to the car, asking Devin to drive directly back to the old house. Along the way, he was somewhat absent-minded. She reached out and touched his hand. She whispered, "What happened to Jackson?" He shook his head.
"I don't know, but I've never seen him like that."
"Like what?" Serena was curious, but when she saw the tightness of his lip line, she did not ask more. When they arrived at the old house, Vanessa got out of the car with Serena, and when Jake got ready to follow her, he was pushed away by his wife. "You go see Jackson. I'm home already, safe and sound." For Jake, Jackson and Drake were the closest to him, in addition to his family, especially Jackson. The feelings were brotherly, and no matter how much they made fun of each other, there was an unbreakable bond between them. For someone as powerful as Jackson to make Jake worry so much, it was certainly not a small thing. She lightly pushed Jake back and told him to go. He nodded and looked at Vanessa.
"Take care of her."
Vanessa did not speak so much, so she only nodded. And then, Jake asked Devin to drive to the Westlake area.